Mindanao Indigenous Architecture and its Elements. All we know from pre-colonial Philippine architecture is the stuff we got from Spain. But Spain wasn't always here on our shores. In fact, when you come to think of it, indigenous Philippine architecture has been there for tens of thousands of years. There are hundreds of indigenous groups and hundreds of languages spoken in the Philippines. Some 33% of these groups are in the northern part of the Philippines, while most of the other 61% are situated in Mindanao. A law that was passed in 1997 allowed academics to finally learn about pre-colonial sociocultural groups here, especially Mindanao indigenous peoples. Mindanao, found in the southern portion of the Philippines, has a unique location. Beyond several bodies of water, it's also surrounded by so many other countries. Mindanao also has a rich set of natural resources, such as mountain ranges, waterfalls, forests, and even active volcanoes. Within these lands are at least 67 indigenous groups living off the bounty of nature and essentially in harmony with it. You might think that this simple living in their areas is a disadvantage. But with cooler spaces and closer access to raw materials, our friends from the hinterlands are doing just fine where they are. Let's talk about 5 of the indigenous groups in Davao City and their homes. The Ata Paquibato Binanwa, Bagobo-Klata Bolloy, Obo Manobo Baoy, Matigsalug Baley, and the Bagobo-Tagabawa Bale. The Ata Paquibatos Binanwa is a 3-story house on stilts. One unique feature of this house is an absence of windows. It's mostly open space, and there is no idea of a wall enclosure to hide whatever is inside from direct outside view. However, the roofs are thatched like hairs to serve as camouflage when enemies come. The roof is also made of weaved cotton, and it has a design element called the manok-manok on top. We'll talk about that later. The Bagobo-Klata house is called a Bolloy. It is a 1-story house on stilts, but not quite as high as the Binanwa. Its major architecture element is the fan window in front of the house. The Obo Manobo house, on the other hand, is called Baoy. It is a 1-story house with a lower ground floor at the front that serves as a veranda. The Matigsalug house, the Baley, has architectural elements such as balusters, which are bamboos cut into circles. It also has a manok-manok at its apex. Lastly, the Bagobo-Tagabawa house is called the Bale, and it is where they also serve amazing coffee from Mount Apple. It is characterized by a woven wall and bamboo roofing called buho. While these houses seem distinct and unique from one another, notice how the houses actually share many characteristics despite coming from 5 different indigenous groups. Some similarities can be attributed to culture, construction technique, belief systems, and materials. For example, notice how all of these five types of homes face the east. All the groups that we mentioned believe that the house should face the sunrise first thing in the morning, or to position the home towards the same direction. Most of the houses use round timber found in the vicinity. Meanwhile, the posts used in the Baley are almost exclusively lawaan. Most of the homes are elevated for various reasons. Elevating the base protected residents from floods and predators as well as raiding enemies. Across different house types, home elevations range from 600 millimeters to around 8 meters. The platform is composed of beams and joists laid out and spaced evenly to support the flooring of the house and were made of round timber, lawaan, and bamboo. In most parts of the world, a home becomes a shelter once the roof protects its residents. Indigenous homes take this many steps further, and even in the designs of roofs, there are similarities and differences. The Binanwa and Bolloy use a combination of hip and gable but differ on the slope. The Bolloy roof is steeper than the Binanwa. The Baoy, Baley, and Bale use a gable roof style with varying modifications such as slightly bending of the gable and extension of trusses at the front and rear. Aside from roof's composition, the topmost portion of the house also incorporated elements that distinguished certain houses from the others. One of the features observed in the houses is the treatment at the roof ridge. In Binanwa and Baley, it is characterized by a decorative element usually made of cogon called manok-manok, which refers to the design's resemblance to a chicken's head. The manok-manok signifies the house of the datu, the tribal leader. The Bolloy's roof ridge is tied, while the Baoys and Bales are the plane intersection of apex of the roof. The roofing materials used also vary among the houses. The Binanwa and the Baoy use thatch roofing. The Binanwa technique includes braiding of thatch together in a process called salapi, while the Baoy design is directly woven to the roof framing. For the Bolloy, Baley, and Bale, bamboo slats are cut into 1-foot dimensions, flattened and spliced to form shingles called sina sa buho and laid out on the roof framing facing up. However, the Bale laid out the shingles alternatively front and back with each other. It has also been recorded that only the Bale uses gutter for rainwater passageway. All of the houses extend their eaves ranging from 500 mm to 1000 mm from the wall for weather protection. In all these indigenous homes, air moves around freely, which means the residents are well ventilated, and smoke from cooking pots do not need to linger indoors. These vents are located below the apex of the gable roof and usually have little regard for protection against intruders, unlike more modern homes. Seen from the floor of all houses, the ceilings are usually exposed, with roof framings made of round timber and bamboo. This portion of the house can even be a display of history and art. The Binanwa exceptionally has a center decorative element composed of uway and carved beam that signifies the Datu's achievements. Three houses such as Baoy, Baley, and Bale use amakan for walls. The Binanwa uses tree bark called langgilan, which is laid vertically on a frame, while the Bolloy uses flattened bamboo called sinaksa, laid in a straight pattern. The joinery for the construction of the houses use lashings made of uway. In terms of fenestrations or openings, the main doors of Bolloy, Baley, and Bale are made of woven and sliced bamboo panel, while the Binanwa and Baoy do not have door panels but have door jambs. The windows for the Binanwa and Bale are just openings with window jambs but do not have panels. The Bolloy, Baoy, and Bale use fixed and operable awning windows made of spliced and flattened bamboo slats. To enter these different houses, elevated platforms can be accessed by stairs. But each house style has different approaches to the stairs. All of the houses utilize round timber or bamboo for the steps of the ladder. It is exceptional for Binanwa that the ladder is made of single round timber with notched steps like the ones you see on coconut trees. These timbers were removable at night for protection against enemies. Meanwhile, the Baoy and Bale have balusters at the sides of the stairs decorated with bamboo. In the platform, flooring materials are made of bamboo slats, spliced and tied in the floor joists, usually spaced at 5 cm from each other to allow breeze and ventilation. Meanwhile, Bale uses woven bamboo panel of 1,200 mm by 2,400 mm in a straight pattern tied at ends to spliced bamboo and joists. Because of their distinct cultural practices, most of the houses are open space and have no partition. Sleeping platforms are usually found inside the perimeter of the house, surrounding the center space and made of bamboo slats. At the center of the house is the usual location of the fireplace or abuhan, providing warmth for its residents and easy access to cooking. There are also some variations in the location of the cooking area. The Binanwa cooking area is located at the lower ground floor of the house. The Bolloy's abuhan is in front of the house, while the Baley's abuhan is found at the rear left side of the house. As you can see, some lessons in pre-colonial Philippine architecture can be learned by tedious research and isn't limited to Spanish colonial influence. There is so much to learn about the practices of our indigenous peoples, especially those from Mindanao. As you notice, architects and students of architecture have more to learn from indigenous peoples and not the other way around.